much better where he's at now?
Oh yeah, that's another good part of the trade, man. I mean, see, I'm so torn about the trade. It just shows me that the Lakers are in desperation mode, but desperation isn't necessarily a bad thing because I think they have to be desperate. They had to do something to get a real third scorer or a real second scorer. So I don't blame them for doing this, but this is going to be a bad fit. I think the Wizards did win a little bit in this trade. KCP, we saw, his stats aren't great, but in the playoffs, he was a very reliable shooter for them both years, especially in the year they won in the bubble. He was a very consistent 3-and-D player. He's going to do that next to Bradley Beal. Kuzma's still a very young power forward that has time to prove he could be a secondary or third scorer. I think he fits better next to Bradley Beal than Russell Westbrook. And Kuzma, I really do think he could slide over and get you 22, 23 next to Bradley Beal. They might not be a playoff team, but I think they have more weapons and they'll have better chemistry. Because you'll have Beal, KCP, Montrez to come off the bench, and they got a couple of draft picks out of it. I think the Lakers were desperate for star power because they see what Milwaukee did. They see what Brooklyn's cooking up with, and they felt like, we had to do this. But I'm afraid best case scenario, this makes them a little bit better. But worst case scenario, I fear this might be a worse fit in LA than when Steve Nash, Ron Artest, and Kobe and Dwight Howard were playing together.
Dwight Howard, don't forget Dwight.
Yeah, that's what I said. Dwight Howard, I'm afraid it's looking like it could be that type of disaster because that team was a flop, but they had all the big names, they had all the glitz and glamour, but that team was a flop, man. Steve Nash was like breaking his back from walking. Dwight Howard was softer than tissue. Everybody was all over the place.
Kobe kept getting injured.
Yeah.
Playing like 45 minutes a night.
Yeah,
Come on, man.
Yeah, that was one of the floppest teams. Yeah, that in recent history.
It might remind me of that.
I don't understand. Like what Westbrook is going to have to, change his game in so many ways for this to actually work. And I think it's a fantasy land to honestly expect him to do it when he's 32.
Yes. Yes.
This is crazy.
Yes.
You have to expect him to not turn over the ball a lot.
Yeah.
Shoot a little better because LeBron is gonna have the ball 90% of the time.
He can't do that running gun for 82 straight, not even 75 straight.
He's gonna have to play faster too, and he's gonna have to be okay with taking a lot of less shots. Is he okay with that?
It's a good question. No, you're absolutely right. They all have athleticism. They all have speed at their position. They will run and gun, and I think they'll have to because Westbrook's not just going to catch the ball and shoot, and he's not suddenly going to become a 38, 39, 40% three-point shooter, and he's certainly not going to become a little bit smarter when it comes to, taking the right volume of threes. He's still a go type of player, and I honestly think, there couldn't have been a worse star fit to put next to LeBron at this second half of his prime. He's not a catch and shoot player. He's not a natural ball distributor and ball mover. Yes, he gets assists, and yeah, I do think people kind of underrate his passing ability, but he's not a natural ball mover. The ball doesn't move. The ball sticks sometimes. He likes to run ISOs a lot. And he doesn't even take the mid-range like he used to in Oklahoma City. He used to have a very reliable mid-range that he could at least fall back on. And I just think it's going to be a very, very questionable fit. It's going to be scary because let's say I don't know, they start the first half of the season below 500 or barely sniffing into the playoffs like a 7-6 seed. Do you try to flip him for somebody else? And who can you really get by that time? That's what I'm interested to see.
dude,
It's risky.
It's really risky, and you know LeBron has never been the type of guy to let someone else do all the distributing and go be off the ball. So it's who it have to change in order for this to be an actual deadly championship. One of those guys gonna have to change, and I doubt it's gonna be LeBron. And then
that is what I said, not to cut you off. I know I sound crazy. I'm not saying this in a talent way, but I'm a Spurs fan, and one of the greatest decisions we ever made. Initially in his career, we started Ginobili, Duncan, and Parker, but Ginobili was always hurting himself, and combined with the fact that we noticed that Ginobili and Parker couldn't have the ball at the same time. They were kind of clashing. So what did we go and do? We put Ginobili on the bench as a super sub. He didn't start the games, but he still got the most minutes out of the guards, and he finished games. He would always play at least 28 minutes and up, even though he didn't start. I think that's their best hope for getting something out of this. I'm not betting on it happen, but Westbrook's going to have to learn to take a role where he gets yanked out early in the first quarter. He plays the second quarter, the second half of the second quarter with units that he could be Westbrook without AD or LeBron, without at least two of them in his way. And that's the only way this could work. If they think they can take Westbrook and plug him into this lineup, all you're going to get is a bunch of triple doubles and turnovers because they're not going to win a championship that way.
And LeBron kind of turns over the ball a lot too.
Yeah.
No chance. No, but again, your scenario is there's no chance in hell.
There isn't, but it would work. I think it would be their best shot.
It could possibly work. Yeah, you're right. But
he still gets starters minutes, but he doesn't necessarily start like that.
But there's just too much pride on the line. There was no pride in San Antonio.
But let me ask you this. That's a good point. You're right. You're right. That was the greatest point of the day. You're right. It sounds obvious, but that was a great point. There was zero pride ever when Tim Duncan was in that locker room.
Not in that locker room.
So, but let me ask you, shouldn't Westbrook swallow his pride by now? I mean, like, you want that last championship opportunity. This is his last shot, worse than it was Chris Paul's last shot this year. And I think he has to do everything.
I wouldn't go that
to make it work. You wouldn't go that far? Where else can he go? The only person who really won out of this trade was Russell Westbrook because he got a chance to touch the finals one more time. The Wizards, came up a little bit, but the Lakers didn't come up at all. Russell Westbrook, the individual, has one more chance to touch the finals. What other chance is he going to get after this? He's probably not going to retire a Laker unless this works. What happens?
That's my whole point. I doubt he'll retire in this scenario. So whatever team he decides to go to next, we just got to see what it looks like. Because at the end of the day, 32 isn't 36.
It's not. But you know what? How many blessings of playoff teams are going to keep signing him? He was on OKC, a playoff team. Houston, a playoff team. Now the Lakers, a playoff team. Hell, you're not going to end up on the Clippers or Philadelphia. Like, where are you going to end up? Milwaukee, maybe? No way.
But that all depends on how much production can he continue to go up. If he can continue to be a 25 type of scorer, then teams will always knock on that door. He just has to age gracefully. That's what it comes down to. Because 32, you're heading towards the end, but you can still put juice in your 33 year, your 34 year. Before it's too late.
My fear for him is that, you're right. His play is going to determine a lot of his inches for the rest of his career. But at the end of the day, my fear for him is that he could only be great in systems where he is the system, not where he could join and be a piece of the system. And I'm afraid he could only do that on either middle of the pack teams or non-playoff teams like the Knicks, the Hornets, teams like the Portland Trailblazers. If he was to somehow end up there, he can't do that on championship contenders. He until he proves that he could be a piece of the system and not be the whole system just to get his stats. It's like, what's the point of trading for him? And I think teams will start to think that way.
I'm with you on that one. I believe that, and I believe that's what he likes too.
Yeah.
I believe that's what he likes.
That's when he seems to be his most motivated.
When he's in control of basically every single part of the game. But this is the ultimate test for him.
I will say this in an optimistic way. I'd like to think that him being in a team for the first time, Kevin Durant was better than him for sure. James Harden, you could say, definitely was better than him on Houston. But this is the first time in his life where he could look around and say, arguably, two people are better than me right now. And I'd like to think maybe, just maybe, that'll make him a little smarter on the court. But it's not going to make him suddenly a better shooter. But I think optimistically, he might be humble enough to say that, AD and LeBron are better than me right now. I know some nights I'm going to have to be the third guy, but most nights I could step up and be the second guy. I think we might get the most humble and open-minded version of him, but I'm not expecting a 360 from Westbrook. Every time I give him the benefit of the doubt, he has me looking stupid, man. I gave him the benefit of the doubt when he played with Melo because I wanted it for Melo over there. He let me down, man. He let me down in Houston too. But I am optimistic that, he knows that his pride needs to be swallowed. He's lucky to be there. He could have been rotting on the Wizards or rotting in the New York Knicks or something. Like, this is a silver platter for him. That's why I say it's more of a last chance than Chris Paul.
It really is a blessing. Like, to come from a bottom feeding team, and then before that, a dysfunctional Houston team, and now you finally get LeBron James, next year. And if this doesn't go right, David, this is going to be the ugliest thing that a superstar has to go through. No, seriously. You played with Kevin. You played with James.
Wow, I didn't think of it that way.
And now you're playing with LeBron freaking James.
And you can't make none of those roles work.
If he doesn't get a ring out of this, this is going to be. It's going to be uglier than Chris Paul.
Does that move him down some all-time rings?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you can move down.
Absolutely.
Off the top of your head, I'm not.
If he doesn't get a ring with LeBron James, he's not even top 10.
Oh.
I'm going to be top 10 in my eyes.
Let me ask you this.
I'm thinking he has a chance to be in 10.
Let me ask you this. I think that's a fair point. Let me ask you this. Off the top of your head, I'm not telling you to put them in the order, but obviously we have the top tier, like the Magic Johnson, the Oscar, the great winners, and then we of course have Isaiah Thomas, those Jason Kidd, Steve Nash, Gary Payton. What tier do you put him in? What's the third tier and the fourth tier that you think he might fit? Because he's clearly in one of those third or fourth tiers. Would you say Iverson, like in that Iverson, Westbrook?
Well, Iverson is in the discussion. I put Iverson around the same area as
I do too.
And Gary.
I think that's like second tier.
Yeah, that's the second tier. So Westbrook is third. He's at the bottom trying to get.
Who's in that third tier with Westbrook, you would say? off the top of your head?
Nash.
Nash? You don't think Nash is second tier? You don't think he did a little bit enough to be second tier?
Nah, I don't think I can put Nash with Kidd and
you know what? You're right. Nash is good. Nash, Chris Paul, Westbrook. They're in that third tier.
Right, Billups.
Yeah, that's fair.
Good guys like that. You know what I mean? He's still fighting to get in. If he doesn't win a ring in this scenario, he can't get in.
Yeah,
I don't care. I don't care what numbers he puts up. I don't care what he does. I don't care if he has 10,000 triple doubles.
Let me ask you this serious question. You think he averages a triple double?
Yeah, I think he's gonna still go for it.
Yeah, you think he's still gonna go for it? yeah, come on, man.
Yes.
I don't know if he seriously. I don't know if he could get 10 assists realistically.
Why not?
With a LeBron team.
In LeBron. Why not?
Because LeBron's never been on a team where he doesn't have to lead the league and lead his team in assists. I'm not seeing him getting 10. What's LeBron gonna get? 12?
Somebody's gonna have to take the hit.
Somebody. And I don't see 10 rebounds out of him on the Lakers. That'll shock me no matter what happens, if he goes after a triple double here, it'll shock me a little bit.
Somebody's gonna have to take the hit. And has it ever been Westbrook? It's never been Westbrook. Anywhere he went, he never has to take the hit. AD from doing 10 rebounds to like 7-6 because of him.
I'll say this.
LeBron might go from 8 assists to like 5.
I don't know about that. I think that's drastic. I'll say here's another upside for them. When AD's hurt, and we all know he always gets hurt at some point. You know, he misses a good 15 to 20 game. When AD's hurt, they got a nice insurance policy in Westbrook. I think that's the main upside of this whole thing. But that's not an upside enough for championship talk. That's a regular season upside. But it's a good upside that if he's to ever get hurt, they know Westbrook is going to be there, and Westbrook barely misses games, and he's going to give you his all. But, man, this is going to be bad floor spacing, bad fit. I just don't like it at all, man. I just really don't like it. It's going to be fun to watch, but the Lakers should have went after Buddy Hield. I was really excited for them to get that type of pickup because they needed shooting badly.
Or they should have. LeBron should have worked his magic and called Chris Paul.
Word on the streets is he's looking for a 3-year $100 million. That's rough to ask for when you're 36. That's maybe why they didn't want to entertain it, man. I wouldn't want to give him a 3 year. I'll give him a 1 year.
But 1 year, 35 mil?
Yeah, I ain't giving this dude 3 years. I don't care how much people love him, and I'm not trying to be a hater. I held my tongue, and I was legitimately happy for him, real talk. But I thought about it some more, and I'm like, why is this dude the only person that whenever he loses, he gets to skirt the burden of the responsibility, bro? He always gets to skirt the responsibility a little bit. I was happy for him. I was happy for Devin Booker. I like the Phoenix come-up story. But you know what? I'm not letting him off the hook, bro. He let himself down. That was his last shot. And he's always in close situations. Unlike most greats, Chris Paul hasn't been on bummy teams his whole life. He's had some bad teams, but for the most part, there's something you could work with. New Orleans, he played with David West, Tyson Chandler, and Peja in their prime. On the Clippers, yeah, Blake Griffin, had some duds, but he was mostly a superstar at the time. DeAndre Jordan was a superstar. Jamal Crawford was a sixth man. Redick was there. Danny Granger and Paul Pierce was on the Clippers at one point. Come on, man. Chauncey was on the Clippers for a short time.
He was Harden.
Come on, man. He had Harden. At some point, I get it. He's the cute, cuddly State Farm Players Association guy. But at some point, man, when is this dude going to get crucified for pressure-filled moments like that and failing, man? He gets off the hook a lot, man. And I know I sound like a hypocrite because I said I was happy for him. I really was happy for him. I was rooting for him in the inside. But, man, this guy knows how to lose. He just knows how to lose, bro.
And he's another guy. His is different from Westbrook, but he's another guy. I hear a lot of people saying top five.
No way!
I don't know if I can let him in after this loss.
Listen,
I don't know if I can let him in. If he won,
if we're talking about point guards, all-time great point guards that when you know it's the postseason and high leverage moments, they will take their game up.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's in there. And I know I'm going to sound crazy, but are you going to put him over a Tony Parker in the playoffs? I don't know. I've seen too much from Tony Parker. I know the most fans aren't going to say Tony Parker, but I've seen Tony Parker in the playoffs. And he's a big reason why Tim Duncan was always able to have somebody to fall back on in those playoffs. Come on, Finals MVP. I don't know if I could, if we're talking about winners that raise their game when the game matters. I'm not just talking about people that know how to get 10 assists and double doubles. Because if it's about double doubles, Chris Paul's the best. But
Chris Paul should have been in that Finals MVP. He wasn't even in it.
He wasn't even sniffing it even this year.
Wasn't even in it.
This dude, he balled out game one, and he was iffy for the most part. The rest of he was looking like he was getting older and worse the longer the playoffs went. It's like I never seen anything like it. When he balled game one, I was like, "Yo, the narrative is there, the storyline's in place. This dude's gonna get the Finals MVP." This dude, it's like he disappears as the game goes on.
And my thing is, it was an equal playing field too.
That's my problem. That's my problem.
He wasn't playing the juggernaut.
You're not playing a dynasty. You're not playing Steph. You're not playing the Spurs or Kobe.
And that's why I can't even put him. I'm not.
I gotta put him down a little bit. I'm not hating. I have to.
I'm not putting him over Jason Kidd. I'm not doing it.
I'm not putting him over Isaiah, Jason Kidd, Magic, Tony Parker. I know that's controversial. Steph Curry. I'm not doing it. That's like 7 right there. John Stockton.
Gary, I'm not putting him over Gary.
That's 8. Like, I can't do it, bro. And I know everybody wants to do it for some reason when he shows us who he is. I'm sorry, you can't win with him being your first or second best player. You can't. He's too much of a small quintessential, and he's not aggressive. That's another problem, bro. He wasn't as aggressive as the playoffs went on. Like, why do you always want to? I think he wants to get his 10 assists sometimes, bro. Why can't you just keep rising up for those mid-range shots? His mid-range is almost automatic, bro. Like, why aren't you aggressive? Like, I don't know.
50-point game. Where was his 50-point?
Yeah. You're supposed to. You're Chris Paul. You're supposed to have one signature finals game after that game one.
You should have had one of those, and that's it. And that's
come on, man. I'm happy for the Bucks, but Phoenix lost it more than the Bucks won it.
They did. No,
come on, man.
Defensively and aggression wise, they lost it.
I'm sick of this shit, bro. And everybody wakes up the next day like, oh, I feel for Stephen A. Smith. I feel for Chris Paul right now. What do you mean you feel for him? If this was Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, LeBron, KD, we would be like, where are they in their legacy? Why didn't they win? Why weren't they aggressive? It's like he gets all the benefits from a superstar name, but none of the standards and pressure. I'm tired of that, man. It's been like that. I've observed this for his whole career. He gets off the hook mad easy. How does he do it? He's like that child that always gets away with murder, and the parent just turns a blind eye, like, he'll be all right. That's just Chris being Chris. He's the best leader in the NBA. These niggas wanted to give him all the credit when the Phoenix Suns got there, but none of the blame when he lost. I'm sorry, I had to let that out.
No, you're right. Do it.
Come on.
I used to let him go. Once he got to Houston, I was done doing that, man. I was like, nah.
Come on, like we heard it with our own ears this year, bro. They were sweating him so much. They were trying to finesse him narrative-wise into MVP talks every week. You want to give him all that credit and none of the blame?
Yeah.
I hated that. I definitely hated that. There's no way someone's scoring that much
as MVP. Come on.
Come on, man. He was having like 15 and a half and like 8 assists. Like, come on, bro.
We're not doing this again.
They were trying to give him a WWE storyline MVP because it went with the story of him going to the Suns.
Scenario. We're not doing.
Come on, bro. Like, I'm sorry, but I peeped this.
Not when people like Embiid is putting up like 30 and 12. Like, we can't do that. Not when people like Joker is putting up like 27, 12, and 7. Come on, dude. We're not gonna do it.
It's ridiculous. I peeped it, man. Like the broadcasters, the media, the people that have shows, even the fans, bro. I see so much fans giving him a pass, bro. Like, first of all, y'all were trying to give him all the credit, talking about he's the best leader. Don't get me wrong, he's one of the all-time great leaders, but his leadership didn't get them there, bro. Devin Booker got them there. People are giving him more credit than Devin Booker, but they're ghost and silent now that he needs to get blame. Devin Booker was throwing up them buckets. Devin Booker did his part mostly. So I'm looking at CP and Ayton.
Back-to-back 40 games.
CP and Ayton, bro. Those were the two main reasons.
After and you would think after he sees Devin Booker go for 40 like twice, you would think he would want to give one.
Ridiculous, man.
One so he can get some rest and get. And they do it.
He might barely fit the 10 because we already named 8. We named 8.
It's a battle with him.
We named 8, and if we really fight, we can maybe name an arguably 9 or 10.
And we didn't even get old school. If we get old school, get it.
Who are we missing old school? Jerry West?
Frazier?
Jerry West is really. I think he's definitely in that 10.
Bob Cool? Bob Cool, yeah. 2 though.
Jerry's a 2? He might be both, but you're right. He might be a 2. He might be a combo.
Bob Cousy?
He was legendary in his day. I just don't use those older niggas like him, but you could use them.
And it's a battle with him and Nash. If we're being honest,
it is a battle.
It's a tough battle.
But Nash did get MVPs over him. That's another thing. He's the only nigga that I know. Every time we talk about greats, we be like, "Where's the MVPs? Where's the Finals MVPs? Where's the scoring titles?" He don't got none. He don't got MVPs. He don't got scoring titles. He don't got Finals MVPs. He got assists and steals titles.
Yeah, he has assists.
Why does he get to be so highly praised? What am I missing here, bro? He gets lumped in with all the top tippy top guys.
And at least Nash was losing the juggernauts.
And at least Nash got MVPs. I know it was a fluke, but one of them he did deserve it.
Yeah.
He earned it because he revolutionized basketball with that Phoenix style. He had everybody. He had mad people on his team having career years. Amari Stoudemire, Jay Rich, all those dudes. He was doing a lot for his team. They had a great record.
Yeah. Wasn't he 50, 40, 90 too?
Yeah. Something that Chris Paul's never done, bro. Only Steph has been doing that. Like, come on, like
those years, yeah.
I'm not getting like there's so much proof against this guy, but he gets the same identical praise. Best leader in the NBA. He ain't the best at shit.
And if if we really be petty, we could probably slide, but I won't be that.
I won't go that far, but hey, if we're talking about the playoffs, I trust him more. I trust him a lot more, bro. I just do, man. I have to. Yo, this is a guy that would kill. He would kill my Spurs. He would kill on Denver. He was killing Kobe Bryant in that team with Melo. Like, this guy would bury people under threes. Like, we think Steph gets hot. Like, Chauncey was that guy from 3-point. Like,
and he wasn't fancy like that, but hey, man.
And he was an elite defender. I think people forget about that.
And now Pistons, that wasn't easy.
That's not easy, bro.
Easy, bro.
Come on, bro.
What nobody says, man. That wasn't easy, bro.
He was the leader of one of the best defensive teams ever. And he was an elite defender and offensive player on it. Just because he doesn't get 20 and 10 like Chris Paul. That's the thing, bro. Chris Paul's always flirting with double-doubles. That makes people think he's that as great as those people. But I'm sorry, it's not about double-doubles, bro. That him and Westbrook proved that. Like, it's not about that.
Man, but at least he got there though. I gotta give it.
At least he got. I'm not trying to hate. Can you argue Kyrie Irving?
Kyrie Irving for what? For what?
Can you argue it?
Nah, don't do that.
You can't argue it.
Not yet.
You can't argue it.
Not yet.
Woo!
Not yet.
Yo, Kyrie has a lot of issues, but I want that nigga on my team in big game situations. I just do.
That's fair.
I'm a patient man. I'll wait.
He has yet to see.
You're right. But at least he was a great Robin. Chris Paul can't even do that.
He went to the finals.
Did he win a chip? A great Robin helps their Batman win a chip.
You have to be.
Is that not fair? A great Robin helps their Batman win a chip. A great Robin, when the Batman is struggling, they come out of nowhere and pick up the slack. Chris Paul don't be doing that. That's what Robins do. At least Kyrie could be a great Robin.
That's not true.
In their case, you have to be.
John didn't win no chips, bro. Fabulous Robin.
Is he not the only rare exception though? He was like a Batman skill wise. He's the only real rare exception, bro. Kyrie slid next to LeBron and made it work. Now, if Chris Paul got capitalized and got that chip with Harden, I would shut up.
But I feel Chris Paul, I think he could make it too. I think he could make it.
Why? What evidence did Chris Paul give us to believe in him next to LeBron?
He worked now.
Come on, man. I'm talking about winning it all. I'm talking about what makes you so confident he could win it all with LeBron.
Bro, come on, man. I'm prime LeBron. I mean, he's not